On KBLA Sports Minute, I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There is no denying that we've always been the conscience of this country. KBLA Talk 1580 is progressive talk radio built for our community, by our community, and with hosts who look like you, live near you, and care about what you care about. 50,000 watts of truth right here in Southern California. KBLA Talk 1580. Listen live on your AM radio dial at 1580 or stream us live on our KBLA1580.com website or on our free KBLA 1580 app.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Tenacious Tuesday with Ms. King. Today we've got a full table and it's a good one. My regular contributor is here, along with a guest whose work sits right at the intersection of everything that we're going to talk about. Liz King was the Senior Program Director for the Education Equity at Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, a coalition of more than 240 national organizations charged with protecting the civil and human rights of every person in this country. She held that post since 2015, leading the fight to make sure every student from early childhood through college is fully included in schools that actually prepare them for careers for life and for full exercise of their citizenship rights. And joining her is Ashley Harrington, Senior Policy Counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, LDF is the nation's oldest civil rights organization, founded in 1940 by Thurgood Marshall himself. Mrs. Harrington's portfolio covers education, equity, and economic justice, and she comes to it with a resume built for this exact moment. The project on predatory student lending, senior advisor to the chief operating officer of the Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid, where she helped oversee $1.6 trillion loan portfolio. And before that, the Center for Responsible Lending, UNCF, the New York Governor's Office. She's originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. I wonder, is she an Aggie? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. She's not an Aggie.
But
I'm grateful to have her. I'm grateful to have her as our guest as well. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. My grandparents met at A&T, so I come from a long line of Aggies.
I appreciate that. My mother and father met at A&T. My brother and I attended A&T. My sister attended A&T, and grateful for the legacy that it represents. Liz, an amazing guest. Liz, who's made an amazing contribution. And so much of what's going on in the nation's political dialogue centers around Ashley and her work at this hour. Liz, share with us where we are today and what we're doing.
Absolutely. You know, Congressman, you and I are often talking about the war in Iran and the future of democracy and where the Constitution is. And I thought it would be great for your listeners to get a chance to hear from Ashley about student loan debt. Just because Ashley is a national expert on what's going on, what people need to know, both as advocates who want to change the system, as well as individual student loan holders. I mean, we know within the civil and human rights community, access to a higher education has been a key piece of that work since the very, very beginning. And we now have a system of debt-financed higher education, which means that too often higher education is closing doors instead of opening them. So I thought it would be great for your listeners to get to hear from Ashley, to hear her expertise about what people need to know, what they need to do, and where we go from here in terms of moving towards a higher education system that is actually meaningfully affordable and that does not burden people with generational debt.
Ashley, I haven't met a person yet who doesn't feel the anxiety of what's taking place in this very space. Ashley, give us a lay of the land, where we are, where it's going, and what we need to do.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. We have never seen anything like this. We know that there's a student debt crisis. We know it's disproportionately impacting Black borrowers. We're at $1.7 trillion or more than $1.7 trillion in outstanding federal student loan debt. And we also have just seen the biggest restructuring in how federal student loans work and how we finance higher education that we've seen in decades. And that was through the Reconciliation Act last year, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so what we are seeing is drastic changes in how much people can borrow, how they repay, what their options are when they're struggling. And it means that as of July 1st, there are major changes that families and borrowers have to think about when they're making these decisions. They have to think about, are they going to be able to manage these payments? Are they going to be able to borrow enough to go to school? And so some of the biggest changes are new limits on how much you can borrow to go to grad school. There are changes to how much parent borrowers can borrow to send their kids to school using Parent Plus loans. And there are changes to the number and affordability of repayment plans. There are a plethora of repayment plans right now that people have heard of, the SAVE plan, the Pay As You Earn plan. Going forward, people only have access to 2 plans if they're new student loan borrowers. And for many people, that means higher payments and paying for longer.
The impact that that's going to have on another generation of students carrying debt is going to be deeply troubling, Ashley. Where do they go from here?
I think the biggest thing you got folks have to do is know your options, learn as much as possible, be on studentaid.gov, read everything, figure out how much it's going to cost for you to go to school if you're still trying to go to school or if you're currently in school. If you have plans to get additional education later on, figure out how much that's going to cost and then look at what the new loan limits are. Really plan out not just what today looks like, but think about what your future situation might look like so that you can plan for that as much as possible. Everything, obviously there are things we cannot plan for, things we cannot control, but get as much information as possible. There are, I think, about 8 million people right now on the SAVE plan that no longer exist. And they have about 90 days as of July 1 for them to get on a new plan. So I encourage those folks, if you are currently on the SAVE plan, you've been on forbearance for several years, and you should have gotten emails recently telling telling you need to get on a new plan, go on studentaid.gov, use the loan simulator, look at what your different options are for new plans. Because if you don't pick one within that 90 day, by the end of that 90 days, they're going to put you on a plan, and there's no guarantee that plan is going to make sense for you. If you're trying to do public service loan forgiveness, make sure you're paying attention to which plans count for that. If you are struggling, there are still forbearance options that you can use right now and deferment options. Look into those possibilities. But the first thing I always tell people to do is you should know how much debt you have. You should know who your servicer is, and you should know the status of that debt. And the first thing you do to get that information is log into your studentaid.gov account. So the first thing you do is know your own situation.
In 1980, Ronald Reagan was debating Jimmy Carter, and he said in that debate, "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" It was a devastating moment for the Carter campaign. Here we are again, $1.7 trillion in student loan debt, a significant number of it impacting African-American young people, a debt and a burden that will be with us for most of our lives if we don't engage this conversation. Our very special guests today, Liz King and Ashley, are here with us today. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
While Gavin was telling the story about the mural at LAX, I kid you not, Gavin, somebody just texted me a photo of it. See, this is unacceptable. That inside of LAX, they have a mural. These gorgeous, beautiful pictures of Destination Crenshaw. It don't look nothing like this. We don't know when they're going to restart or when they're going to finish, but they're marketing and promoting this inside of LAX. It's not right, y'all. It's just not right. You can't exploit us in that way, right? Get the project done, then you can brag about it. But can we finish it first?
Keeping them in check. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Fridays just got better. What's up? I'm Amanda Seals, and this is your invitation to come and sit with me. Yes, get seated as I do my thing on KBLA Talk 1580. We're talking noon to 2 p.m., then back again 4 to 6 p.m. Same day, same station. Bring your opinions, because you know I'm going to have mine. Bring your questions, because you know I got answers. And bring yourself, because, baby, we want you to be authentic at all times. Fridays on KBLA Talk 1580. I'll be waiting. Join me.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Tenacious Tuesday, and we're lighting it up with Liz King. Our very special guest in this hour is Ashley Harrington, Senior Policy Counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, LDF, the nation's oldest civil rights organization, founded in 1940 by Thurgood Marshall himself. Ms. Harrington's portfolio covers education equity and economic justice, and she comes to it with a resume built exactly for this moment. In this moment, she has run not only offices in the state of New York, the UNCF, New York Governor's Office. She originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, a Moorhead Kane Scholar and Gates Millennium Scholar at UNC Chapel Hill, and a Derrick Bell Public Service Scholar at NYU Law. She's testified before Congress on student loan debt and its impact on borrowers more times than most people in this field ever will. Ashley, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you so much.
Liz, Ashley just scared the devil out of me, and probably most people who have student loans. As soon as we graduate from college, there's this expectation that it's over. But in fact, we're looking at a new form, and I can't remember the author's name. There's a new form of debt here, and that is student loan debt. And it is a form of servitude. Servicing debt is deeply problematic for another generation. Ashley has some thoughts about how to get out of it. But Liz, in terms of national politics, this is certainly on the ballot in November.
Absolutely. I think part of what we need to remember when we talk about student loan debt is part of what makes this all so awful is that you cannot even discharge student loan debt in bankruptcy. So there really is no escape. And we know that bankruptcy reforms in the last 20 years have made it much, much harder for people who declare bankruptcy to move on, to turn the page and to really start their life anew. But even as hard as it is to discharge loans in general, car note and your house and other sort of consumer debt in bankruptcy, and as awful as bankruptcy, you cannot, for the most part, you cannot even get out of student loan debt through that. And I think it is just a reminder, we have this system that is set up to punish people who pursue an education, to punish people who are getting the knowledge and skills that our economy needs and that our nation needs. And it shows how backwards the priorities are. So absolutely, every single piece of this is on the ballot in November. The question of what happens to people with current student loans. We know in the last administration, there was a concerted effort, and Ashley really was in the middle of that to a large degree. There was a concerted effort to cancel student loan debt because that is what we need, is widespread debt cancellation. It is the only way that we move forward. We also need to reform our bankruptcy laws to ensure that consumer debt is not a life sentence. We talk about affordability. I think we lose this piece of the equation, is not just people who can't afford the rent this month or the groceries this month. I mean, we hear about people who are borrowing money to pay for groceries. I think we're going to be seeing more and more consumer debt problems, and the way in which that is going to perpetuate economic inequality. But on the student loan issue, especially, I mean, this is not people who went and bought a house they couldn't afford, or bought a car they couldn't afford, or bought an outfit they couldn't afford. This is people who pursued an education, who wanted to better themselves and their community, who are shackled to this debt. And I think it is absolutely awful. So I think you're absolutely right, Congressman. You've been talking about the need for, ambitious policy change in the future, not just incremental change, not just nibble around the edges, but wholesale change. And I think this student loan debt policy is an area where we need significant, big change if we're going to make people's lives better.
Ashley, when I was in Congress, we advocated for the expansion of student loan programs, and we took ownership of that because obviously increasing the number of students entering college was responsible in large measure for the American middle class. But now who owns the debt? We own the programs that expanded opportunity for millions of people around this country, young people. But now politically, this idea that the federal government is turning its back on the idea of debt cancellation, who owns that now, Ashley, politically?
Right. I mean, I think it's so important to remember, like you both are saying, when we're talking about student loan debt, we are talking about federal student loan debt. We are talking about federal policies and programs that created this debt and are perpetuating the problem because we're not fixing it. We have the opportunity to cancel student debt. We have the opportunity to actually invest in free college so that everyone can go and they actually have the opportunity to pursue higher education and give back to the economy and to their communities. And so when we're talking about this problem, this is one of those places where federal government can change this. Congress can change this. Congress created these programs. The Department of Education is implementing them, and students are paying back, and they're going to services, but they're paying back to Treasury. So when we're talking about student loans, we're talking about a federal program, a problem, and there are federal solutions that are at our fingertips that we could be using to help. There are 44 million people who are struggling with student loan debt. That number only continues to grow because we don't actually address the root of the problem.
Ashley, I've heard that student loan debt has moved out of the Department of Education to the Department of the Treasury, primarily for collection. What does that really mean? Are we looking at the, as Liz said, the bankrupting of American students paying student loans or whose debt has accumulated to the point that they can't even purchase a home or a car or make a standard of living that's comparable to what they need to survive?
Absolutely. So this move, the beginning of this move of student loans to Treasury, started with the defaulted loans and people who are defaulted, and that number is only going to continue to grow because of these changes and how unaffordable it's becoming, both for student loans as a whole and across our society. We already know that there's 10 million people who are severely delinquent or in default, and again, by the end of the year, that will get even higher. A large number of those are Black folks because we struggle the most with student debt because of our historical and ongoing discrimination and racial inequities in the society. But I also want to highlight that move to Treasury is part of this larger effort to dismantle the Department of Education and to take away this department that is supposed to be a civil rights agency that's supposed to be fighting for access and opportunity for all. And so there's this overall effort to dismantle that agency, to privatize education, and to really control who has access to education, who can go to school, what they get to learn, and when and where they get to learn it. And so I always want to put it in that context. It's not just about the student loans, it's about the move of the Office of Civil Rights. It's about them trying to move the Office of Post-Secondary Education, Department of Labor, places where they have no business going. We need a Department of Education that's fully functioning. But for student loan borrowers, practically speaking, it's still unclear because they're moving the defaulted loans to Treasury. Some things will still come from Ed, some things will still come from the defaulted loan servicer. So all of that is unclear, and it just adds to the chaos. I think what most of us are experiencing right now, whether we're in delinquency or default or not, is confusion, because it is so unclear how things work, who we're supposed to go to. When we call our servicers, when we get an answer, when they're able to pick up, they often don't know. They're confused as well because we have a system of chaos right now that 44 million people are dealing with because our lawmakers can't get it together to actually create a workable solution.
Ashley, let me ask this question of Liz. Liz, listen, from 1896 in the Plessy versus Ferguson case through 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education, the idea of a Department of Education in 1979 is a relatively new concept, and it really comes into existence as a civil rights enforcement agency, the entire department. And I know that Ashley's credentials can easily answer this question, but Liz, I want to throw it at you on the historical side of this, because 1979 to the present is not very long to be enforcing the history of discrimination against people who've been disparately impacted by the nation's racial behavior. Liz?
Yeah, absolutely, Congressman. I mean, we could take this back to a whole lot of different points, right? So we have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which includes Title VI, prohibiting discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin. I mean, that's really where it all began. But even that law came because of non-compliance with the Brown v. Board of Education decision in 1954. So you get that Supreme Court decision. It took 10 years before Congress was like, look, they're just not even complying. So we have to come up with this new requirement. Adam Clayton Powell, instrumental in that decision. Adam Clayton Powell said there would not be an Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 or a Higher Education Act of 1965 until there was a federal prohibition on funding segregated education. And so because of the Powell Amendment, because of Adam Clayton Powell and the work of the CBC, then we get the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and then that enables enforcement. And so enforcement starts in the Department of Justice, and in the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And even then they saw what we needed was a dedicated education agency, a dedicated agency that would think about the full educational life of a child in America, because education is so foundational to democracy. We need educated jurors, we need educated voters, we need educated scientists, and we need educated entrepreneurs. We knew that our economy, our future as a nation was dependent on the equitable education of all of the people in this country. And so then we got the establishment by Congress of the Department of Education. And what we're seeing right now is an effort by the president to dismantle an agency created by Congress. That is not how laws work. That is not how government works. And so we're seeing this effort to blow it all up, to close doors of opportunity, to take education away from people. And we're seeing it in all forms and fashion. We're seeing it in early education with the attacks on Head Start. We're seeing it in K-12, where they're trying to restrict what you can learn and who you can learn with and from. And then we're seeing it in higher education with efforts to censor your education, to censor the professors that you have access to, and most of all, to close doors to higher education for historically marginalized students, to make it so unaffordable and so out of reach that nobody can get there. So you're right, Congressman, we are only at the latest stage in a long story of closing doors and limiting opportunity.
Ashley, I think since 1940, the Legal Defense Fund has been the most important civil rights organization in the history of this country, quite frankly, because it was founded by Thurgood Marshall, and it did focus on the Constitution and constitutional interpretation. Ashley, where does that leave us in terms of the caseload that's in front of us for dealing with this era that we're finding ourselves in? I often refer to it on our program as the end of Second Reconstruction, and if we're not careful, we're going to slip very quickly into some form of Jim Crow 2.0.
Absolutely. And we know what we're saying. Our president calls it massive resistance 2.0, right? We saw this post Brown. We're seeing it again now. And, Liz talked about a lot of things. Not forget the first time ever, we have a federal private school voucher program that is directing public dollars to private schools that then discriminate based on race, based on sex, disability, all sorts of things. And just funneling tens of billions of public dollars potentially to federal private schools instead of fully investing in our public schools and our public school children and teachers. So I think it's important to remember, and we like to remind folks, the Equal Protection Clause still exists, the law still exists, and a lot of times there are actual wins. When we take these things to court, we are winning. So they had a Dear Colleague letter last year that tried to tell schools they couldn't do all of these things. That letter was struck down. And so, we've Liz and I have been joining others. We're fighting against this so-called college compact they put out last year, trying to get schools to agree to all of these things that they weren't going to do, that kind of like toe the line on this new ideology that again goes back to who can learn, what they can learn, and where they can learn, and really trying to restrict access to a few. And so we've been pushing back against that. They're putting out other calls on that, but they're trying to change accreditation. So there's all these different ways they're doing. We continue to fight back. We know that we have a hostile Supreme Court that is eroding a lot of protections, but we still have some legal tools, and we are going to fight to protect them because we have to use every tool. We have to remember that this is our moment. It's our moment in history where we have built up a lot of great policies. We built up a lot of great programs, and now we're seeing ourselves have to fight to protect them rather than continue to improve them. It's not lost on me that we're fighting to protect the Department of Education, and we know that many families weren't well served by the Department of Education previously. That's hard to reckon with. At the same time, we have to protect this civil rights agency, and so we need our lawmakers to stand up for us too. We can't take everything to court. We need Congress, who created the Department of Education, like Liz said, to say we created this, so we can dismantle this. It's not okay for you to move critical functions of this agency out instead of just standing by and letting it happen.
Ashley, let me ask you this question. We have about 45 seconds before we come forward, which is our long 6-minute break. My question for you is there a way for the average ordinary citizen to support the Legal Defense Fund? Are you a membership organization? Can we come to your website and donate? How does this work?
We are not a membership organization. Definitely ways to support our organization online. Also join some of our efforts, check out some of our information. Our goal is to make sure that we are fighting in every arena for equal opportunity for all, especially for Black Americans, but making sure that everyone has access to that promise that is in the Constitution. And so check out the different information we're putting out there. We do different events. If you're seeing issues pop up, flag them for us where you can. But we don't accept members, but we do accept support in all its forms.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're lighting it up with Liz King. Our very special guest is from the Legal Defense Fund, and she is simply the very best at this subject matter. Ashley Harrington, Senior Policy Counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is dismissing Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias' decision to challenge him for mayor.
My administration stood up for this city.
Johnson defended his record, pointing to rising economic development and falling crime. He also criticized candidates considering school closures after Giannoulias told the Sun-Times the option should be explored. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says he has discussed an independent review of the failed execution of a Black man, Tony Carruthers. 9 Republican lawmakers want executions paused after officials spent more than an hour trying to establish IV access. And Oscar-winning actress Viola Davis will star in the new Paramount Plus thriller, Ascent. She'll play a powerful corporate fixer forced to use her skills when her estranged daughter is threatened. Production begins in 2027. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at Cummins.recall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are still having some issues. They lost their 4th straight. The Chicago Cubs put a 10-5 beatdown on the Dodgers Monday night in Chicago. Dodgers pitcher Justin Robleski gave up 4 home runs in just 4 1/3 innings. Since the Dodgers made their White House visit on July 23rd to hang out with Trump, they are 4-6 and no longer have the best record in Major League Baseball. I'll let you draw your own conclusions if there's a connection, but something is not right with the Dodgers over the past 2 weeks. The Rams are off today. First day off for the team since they opened training camp on July 25th. The Rams are back to work Wednesday at Loyola Marymount. The Chargers will practice today and Wednesday on the University of San Diego campus. It's a chance for the Chargers to reconnect with their original fan base in San Diego. The Chargers return to El Segundo on Thursday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including Mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County Sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation. face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. If you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. Ashley Harrington is our very special guest, and we're lighting it up with Liz King. Liz, welcome back to the show, and Ashley, welcome forward.
Thanks, Congressman. Always great to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you. And Ashley, thank you for joining us. Ashley, I'd like to pivot for just a moment because the Legal Defense Fund, yes, you do extraordinary work in the education space, but this is a very difficult civil rights space as well. Ashley, share with us what's taking place at the Legal Defense Fund with respect to the broader question of our rights on any levels that you'd like to share.
Absolutely. So, you're right. We're getting it from all sides, from the attack on the Voting Rights Act, and which is really an attack on Black political power, which is really an attack on the ability of Black folks to elect candidates of their choosing and to have a say in this political process, and aided by this hostile Supreme Court, and then at the state levels really piggybacking off of some of that work to continue to dismantle Black political power. We're seeing the rollback of a concept called of an important thing called disparate impact. Liz will talk about this too, which is really just an ability to challenge programs, policies, things like that look facially neutral, because we know that today racism is not overt. It doesn't just show up. People aren't explicitly saying, I'm doing this for this reason, I'm doing this for that reason. They do sometimes, but most of the time they don't, right?
Ashley, but that disparate impact means they're coming right after the data that allows us to make the argument in case or in the court of public opinion with respect to what the impact is.
And they don't even want us to have the data. That's another good point, right? Like, they are attacking our ability to collect data, to share that data. They don't want transparency and accountability. They're trying to make it so we can't even tell the story of the things that we know are happening, that we know to be true. We don't have access to that data. And even when we do have it, that the standards that we are using, they're trying to change the standards, change the ball game to make it harder for us to create these claims and to remedy discrimination when it exists and when we find it.
Liz, I'm going to make this argument because I already know Ashley has the capacity to do so, and she's done so because she's clearly universal, but I want to ask you specifically because I think it's a softball. Not that you can't handle a heavy and a fastball. But Liz, check this out. So many of things that impact African Americans, whether it's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 or the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the drawing of congressional districts, and obviously what took place in Shelby versus Holder, and then ultimately in Robinson versus Calais, or Louisiana versus Calais, whichever case was ultimately decided. It impacts Hispanics. It impacts progressives in the Congress of the United States. It impacts how conservatively dense some districts become as a result of the change in our representation in the Congress of the United States. What I just heard Ashley say is like the plumb line, that what impacts us as African Americans is going to impact the entire nation at some point in time in the not too distant future. We may be making the case, we may be making the arguments, but someone else is also going to feel it. Liz?
Absolutely, Congressman. I mean, this explicit attack on the CBC, and we saw somebody trying to put forward a bill that was a straight up attack on the CBC. But this Louisiana v. Calais and this attack on the CBC is obviously explicitly and intentionally meant to limit Black political power, but it is also going to make life harder for poor white folks in this country, because poor white folks have been dependent on the CBC to protect and defend programs like Medicaid, programs like SNAP, all of these programs that enable life for poor white folks in Appalachia, for poor white folks anywhere in the United States, have been dependent on the political power of the CBC. And that is not, this attack here is not by accident. This is about concentrating economic power in the hands of a few. I mean, this goes exactly to what your father was saying and the work of Rainbow Push from the very beginning. It goes back exactly to what Reverend Barber has been saying, that this is about an economic justice movement that has racial justice at its core, because there is no economic justice until there's racial justice. So it has racial justice at its core, but this is only going to diminish the political power and the livelihoods and well-being of people of all racial backgrounds in this country in the service of a very small number of people. This is all about more power for Elon Musk, more power for people with the last name Trump, more power for the most powerful and the most wealthy people in this country. I mean, that's what this is really, really about. And they are framing it in terms of an attack on Black political power. But we know it is Black political power that is the only thing in the United States that has ever actually advanced the ball on economic justice for anyone in the United States. I mean, that's what this is about. This is about economic concentration, and this is about undermining the freedom to live and thrive for everyone in this country.
Ashley, I want to raise this question, and maybe not in your capacity as senior officer at the Legal Defense Fund, but in your personal capacity as an African-American woman who's fighting for justice. This past weekend, the Democratic Socialists of America met in the city of Chicago, and there is a fissure, a division that is occurring because many African Americans, while Democratic Socialists after Mamdani's election have been winning a number of critical seats around the country, are very concerned that they don't take the issues of race as seriously as the Legal Defense Fund and we do. Is there any possibility that they can grow or that we can better understand their perspectives on the questions of affordability, but also blend it with our hysterical narrative? Because I think on some of the policy questions, we're not that far apart. We want healthcare for all. We want housing for all. We want a clean, safe, and sustainable environment. We don't necessarily see Karl Marx as the vehicle to get there. Ashley, your thoughts?
In my personal capacity.
Your personal capacity. I'm not going to do that to you.
I mean, I think absolutely we're not as far apart, but I think centering the lived experience of Black folks and what we are saying can only help you advance your policy agenda. Because I think Liz said it best, right? That at the core of economic justice is racial justice. We know that so many things that are impediments to economic justice have at their core this system of racial inequity and racial discrimination that have been present in our country since before the beginning, right? And so because we are not addressing that underlying piece, we cannot fully address the other pieces. So we cannot have one conversation without the other, and we cannot act like these policies exist that doesn't include the history of this country and the racial legacy of this country and how we have continued to marginalize Black folks, marginalize other folks as well, but absolutely the way that we have marginalized Black folks in the country that we built, right? We built this country, and we should be at the center and at every single table for that very reason, and to address the issues that we are seeing, because they are universal in a lot of ways. They do touch on so many folks.
In her unofficial capacity, Ashley's preaching right now. She's a minister too, I gather. Liz King, your thoughts on what Ashley's thoughts in her unofficial capacity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know if any of these folks have read Paul Robeson, but there are Black intellectuals who've been talking about socialism, who've been talking about economic reform for decades, and who have always been very, very, very clear that there is no path to economic liberation in the United States that does not go through the dismantling of anti-Blackness. I mean, it is just foundational. Even if you read, King and Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, I mean, this was an economic reform agenda. The March on Washington was a march for jobs and freedom. Jobs and freedom. It was always together, because a job with no freedom and freedom with no job is not freedom, and it's not a job.
That's right.
And these two things have always been together. And so I think the DSA, just like any other political movement in this country, at its peril, forgets or leaves behind a centering of Black liberation as a core piece of any political agenda. I mean, there is no way to move forward in the United States unless Black liberation is at the center for anybody.
At the center of that thinking right there is why we put so much emphasis on Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech on August 28th, 1968. It was a march for jobs and justice. And Dr. King delivered the I Have a Dream at the March for Jobs and Justice. And if I have any critique of the march that is taking place, I believe on August 28th as a ceremonial anniversary event at a time when young African-American men are being disproportionately killed, hung, missing, cases open, unclosed, etc., including Nolan Wells, the economic content has always been about what the marches have been about. And of course, we address, as Ashley said, our history and the serious struggles that we've had and how that is really the plumb line of the direction of the nation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
And we are here on the chocolate side of Los Angeles to simply lift up Black dignity, Black honor. No spirit of hatred here. We here because we love our people. We love the people of this community. We love the people of every corner of this city. But some of us start on the chocolate side. And so all of the critiques, all of the calls for accountability have nothing to do with ad hominem attacks on any elected official. It has to do with either indifference or incompetence, maybe even corruption. We don't know, but we just want to make sure that everyday people in this community are treated with the dignity that they deserve. That's why we're here.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Ready to order? Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything? Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest is Ashley Harrison. She is a senior officer at the Legal Defense Fund in terms of education equity as well as the student loan programs. The LDF has been fighting our battles as African Americans, as progressives, as people who live under a Bill of Rights and under the Constitution since Thurgood Marshall founded the organization in 1940. Ashley, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you.
And none other than Liz King, always lighting it up with Liz. Liz, I know that we're going to close on a word of hope, and I'm going to give Ashley, obviously, the final 3 minutes of our program to develop one so that she can share it with the nation. But Liz, I do want to ask you this question. I'm wondering in this moment, and I'm making the distinction between, for example, the organization run by the president of the NAACP. That is the organization that is doing voter registration around the country. But the LDF is a not-for-profit organization that does our legal work. This is the group of people that are in courtroom arguing the cases against Louisiana versus Calais. They're fighting the cases, and they do need, and you can make, contributions to their organization to continue the legal work that establishes the precedents as well as protects justice for us in the nation's court system. And we can only imagine, given the nature of the corruption that is coming out of Washington, D.C., just how difficult that task is for them. So I want to encourage everyone to go to the Legal Defense Funds, NAACP Legal Defense Funds website, where you can make a tax-deductible contribution to support their efforts. I'm wondering, Liz, if I might ask you this question and then ask Ashley to summarize this question before she delivers her word of hope. Are our organizations equipped and prepared for this hour, Liz?
Well, Congressman, our organizations, the civil and human rights community, is only as powerful as the people behind it. And we know it is your listeners, it is people across the country, whether they go to NAACPLDF.org and donate, whether they show up and they vote for civil rights policy in our elections, whether they log on to these websites and download a fact sheet and share it when they go to church or when they're in the community organization, when they're at a book club. So our organizations are only as strong as those of us who surround them, who are invested in them, and who hold them accountable and support them when times are tough. And I believe that the civil and human rights community, the conscience of the nation, the civil and human rights community that has made the Constitution real for any person in this country, the only reason our constitutional rights have any meaning at all is because of the civil and human rights community, and is the civil and human rights community and those organizations that will get us to the other side, that will write the future of this country, and that will ensure that there is a democratic United States in which all of our voices are heard, in which each of us have the opportunity to thrive and to reach our full potential. And I do believe that these organizations together can do this, are ready for this challenge. We are in incredibly, incredibly difficult times. But let's not forget, there was a time in which the NAACP was outlawed. There were laws that banned that organization from operating. You know, we have been subject to COINTELPRO. What's happening right now with the Southern Poverty Law Center, attacks on that organization, these organizations are under attack, and still they fight back, and still they show up in court, and still they go to meetings with every government official, they write the letters, they do the fact sheets, and most importantly, they take the phone calls, they connect in community. You know, a bunch of folks were in Chicago recently for the NAACP convention, hearing from the community about what is going on, what are the priorities, where should we be focused? And that's the case in the disability community, in the women's community, the LGBTQ community, the Latino community, Asian American community, Native American community, and of course, where it all started within the Black community. And so I do believe that these organizations are ready for the challenge. It is, as has always been the case, we have to come together to support these organizations, to hold them accountable, and to let them know that we are with them, we are fighting with them, and we will be there all together. And so I do believe that these organizations are ready to meet this very, very difficult challenge.
Ashley, we have about 3.5 minutes before our program closes. Can you offer to our nation, to our listeners, a word of hope?
I will try. I agree. We are ready for this moment. And I also firmly believe that the reason why we are getting so much pushback, the reason why we are seeing all of the attacks on our civil rights and our democracy, on Black participation, is because they see how powerful we are and how powerful we can be together. They see that as a problem. And so I think we have to lean into that strength that we bring together, lean into everything we've learned from all of these battles that we've already been through, lean into what we've learned from our elders, from the folks who came before us. I am so grateful to work in an organization that has such a rich legacy of leadership now and before, and that we can learn from, and that is still taking part in this fight. And so I think the most encouraging thing that I want folks to do and remember to do is vote. We still have, they have attacked the Voting Rights Act. They have not stopped us from being able to vote. So figure out what you need to do to vote. Vote for folks who care about student loan borrowers, who care about access to college for everyone. Vote for folks who care about our public schools and our public school children. Vote for, hold people accountable for those commitments. And so the biggest thing that we can do right now is encourage each other and make sure that we are taking every opportunity to participate politically at every level of the ballot. Look at who's running for school board. Look at who's running for, if you have elected judges, look at all of that. All of those folks have a part to play in how we experience this multiracial democracy and how we experience our civil rights.
Ashley Harrington serves as Senior Policy Counsel for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and Education Fund, the LDF, founded in 1940 by Thurgood Marshall. Ashley, thank you for being our guest on our program today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Liz, thank you for inviting Ashley and for lighting it up. So grateful that you were here today.
Thank you, Congressman. Looking forward to next time.
All right. Love you much. I'll see you then. Hey, I just want to say this as we prepare to end this hour of the show, and that is this. This is good justice work. This is serious justice work. The work that Ashley and the Legal Defense Fund does, the work that Liz King does, establishing precedents in courts under the Constitution of the United States. That is not to discount the work that others like Ben Crump and Reverend Sharpton do, particularly in these individual cases of justice where we need voices in that space. But Thurgood Marshall, I think, got it absolutely right. The long time and long-term change is when the Constitution itself is interpreted in a way that broadens the rights of all people. At the forefront of that leadership and that effort has been the Legal Defense Fund, an organization that we support right here at KBLA Talk 1580. So grateful for Ashley Harrington and her work and sacrifice, and Liz King for their continued advocacy and work in this space. We're on the grind with Barbara Arnwine when we come forward right here at KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is dismissing Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias' decision to challenge him for mayor.
My administration stood up for this city.
Johnson defended his record, pointing to rising economic development and falling crime. He also criticized candidates considering school closures after Giannoulias told the Sun-Times the option should be explored. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says he has discussed an independent review of the failed execution of a black man, Tony Carruthers. 9 Republican lawmakers want executions paused after officials spent more than an hour trying to establish IV access. And Oscar-winning actress Viola Davis will star in the new Paramount Plus thriller, Ascent. She'll play a powerful corporate fixer forced to use her skills when her estranged daughter is threatened. Production begins in 2027. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CumminsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are still having some issues. They lost their 4th straight. The Chicago Cubs put a 10-5 beatdown on the Dodgers Monday night in Chicago. Dodgers pitcher Justin Robleski gave up 4 home runs in just 4 1/3 innings. Since the Dodgers made their White House visit on July 23rd to hang out with Trump, they are 4-6 and no longer have the best record in Major League Baseball. I'll let you draw your own conclusions if there's a connection, but something is not right with the Dodgers over the past 2 weeks. The Rams are off today. First day off for the team since they opened training camp on July 25th. The Rams are back to work Wednesday at Loyola Marymount. The Chargers will practice today and Wednesday on the University of San Diego campus. It's a chance for the Chargers to reconnect with their original fan base in San Diego. The Chargers return to El Segundo on Thursday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Tenacious Tuesday, and we are on the grind with Barbara Arnwine. Barbara Arnwine is a regular contributor on our program who needs no introduction. Barbara is the president of the Transformative Justice Coalition and is internationally renowned for her contributions on critical justice issues, including the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the reauthorization provisions of the Voting Rights Act in 2006. She also serves as co-chair and facilitator of the National Commission on Voter Justice and Millennial Voters Matters convening and the Voting Rights Alliance. She's a close and dear friend of my father, the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, one of his most serious and trusted advisors. Barbara, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It is awesome to be here.
Barbara, I am so glad that you're here, and I know that you're going to be bringing a guest or guests on the program today. Barbara, let me ask you this question. Tell us about the case of Corey Ruiz.
Yes, and I'm happy to discuss the case. Folks, we've all been talking about Nolan Wells. And Nolan Wells hurts our heart because he was 18-year-old college student, promising athlete, beloved son. Let's talk about Corey Ruiz. He's 38. He was 38. He was beloved by his family, even though he suffered from mental illness issues, and even though he, because of that, was homeless often. But he had a daughter who loved him. He had a mother who loved him. He had friends who loved him. He was so beloved that when he was slain by the Madison, Wisconsin Police Department, for no good reason, folks, no good reason. If you've seen the video, it is shocking because he posed no threat to anybody at the time. Four men holding him down. A female officer runs in and tasers him, and the officer that had been holding him down, because he did have a knife in his hand, but he had not done any injury, and the officer who was holding him down backs up and pulls his gun and shoots him 3 times in the face. What was his crime? Everybody, what do you think the crime was that he ended up being shot to death for? He was on a bicycle riding down the street, and he was checking the locks. You know how you do the door handles of the car, seeing if they would lift open? He hadn't stolen one thing, but he was checking these car handles, allegedly. Allegedly, this is what he was doing. And this is why he's dead, because of a trigger-happy police officer. The other story, part of this story, he was killed, by the way, on July 22nd in a predominantly Black neighborhood at a intersection where they had killed another Black person before. Same police department. And this is not just 1 or 2 killings. There have been more. And this police department has the nerve to be running out there spending billions of dollars a year, very militarized police department, and had the nerve to, when their police chief said we need body cameras because people, are being injured by us, by the police department. We need to know what's happening. Why is there so many racial encounters? We need to get to the bottom of this. The city council, and it's called the Common Council in Madison, said no. They said no to the police chief who wanted body cameras. And the police chief, of course, left. And that tells you about a whole lot going on in that police department. But also it tells you about what's wrong in Madison. Madison is not Chicago, folks. Madison is not Milwaukee. You don't have a huge Black population in the city, although it's a big city, although it's the home of the University of Wisconsin, although it is the state capital. You still don't have a big Black population. And the question is, why? Why?
Barbara, I do want to ask this question. I know we'll be coming forward in 2 minutes, and when we come forward after the break, we'll be bringing a number of guests on the program. But I want to ask you this question. What is it about this climate that has emboldened police departments across the country based on your experience?
I think they're emboldened because people have taken the pedal off the gas. Most of the focus over the last 2 years has been on ICE. And people don't make the connections that the tactics that ICE have been using, these warrantless searches, these really aggressive stops, these racially, this use of outright racial profiling as sanctioned by the Supreme Court through the Kavanaugh decision. Folks, I want people to understand that when you take the feet off the gas, when you take the foot off the gas, that these people tend to just stop and they get back into their old ways and they say, nobody's looking at me, so I'm not accountable. If people thought that Black Lives Matters finished this job, no. The problem is that we're not making the connections between the unlawful behavior of ICE and the ongoing unlawful behavior in killing of Black folks and brown folks and Native American people by regular police departments.
I went to high school in Washington, D.C. and played football my senior year against Brett Kavanaugh. I was a running back and he was a free safety.
Come on now.
I scored on Brett Kavanaugh, but had I known what Brett Kavanaugh would have become, I'd have run him over that day. I should have run him over. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Barbara Arnwine and our special guests when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's the show everybody's talking about. What's up, y'all? I'm Amanda Seals with a personal invitation for you to join me every Friday here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, you get 2 chances to tap in, noon to 2 p.m., and again from 4 to 6 p.m. Real talk, no filter, just you and me on the highest of vibrations. Fridays only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Literally right in front of our doorsteps the last 2 to 3 years, we have been interrupted by this nightmare of a project called Destination Crenshaw. The desire was partnership at the onset, but we've seen broken promise after broken promise. We've seen our parishioners impacted. We've seen our peers and our local neighbors impacted directly by this. We've seen the crippling of the Crenshaw economy as a result of this project starting and then ultimately walking away. And we're not going to just lay down. We're not going to just, amen, pretend like nothing's happening on our doorsteps. And tonight I want to get out of the way because I want to hear from you. I can stand there as a pastor and tell you how many times we've been interrupted from our flow of worship, how it's impacted our ability to provide services to our community, how the blight and how the construction derailment has hindered our ability to amply run our food pantry programs, to offer summer camp programs for our young people, how the construction impacts just our ability to be able to come to church and park. I can go on about how it's interrupted just our day-to-day operations and being able to accommodate the needs of our community.
Making sure they stick to the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Tenacious Tuesday, and our very special guest and regular contributor, we're on the grind with Barbara Arnwine. Barbara, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so excited. Our guests are all here.
Barbara, I want to initially welcome the co-chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, Daryl Jones. Daryl, Attorney Jones, one of the brightest and sharpest lawyers who serves in a co-capacity with Barbara Arnwine on at the Transformative Justice Coalition. They're doing some extraordinary work around the country. And along with Barbara Arnwine, Barbara, you have a number of guests that you brought to the program today.
Yes, we are so blessed to have from the ground people who have been there since 5 and 6 o'clock this morning, dealing with what's been happening with Corey Ruiz. We are so blessed to have Dr. Danielle Perry Wright, who is a PhD, who is an incredible education specialist, but an incredible racial equity intersectional specialist. And we're blessed to have with her Mr. Alan Robinson. And Alan has been there from day one. In fact, Mr. Robinson, if I understand correctly, you arrived on the scene within 30 minutes of Corey Ruiz's death. Is that correct, sir? Can you hear me?
I think that their phones are muted. Their communication is muted.
Oh, we need you to unmute.
Unmute herself. Daryl, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on the ground with Barbara Arnwine. How are you, brother?
Doing well, Congressman. Doing really well. You know, it's been quite an exciting time since July 22nd with regards to the death of Ruiz, and you know, the world needs to know what's happening in Madison, Wisconsin. So really, really thankful that you're lifting this up in this story and the occurrence of what has happened to Brother Corey.
I do want our guests who are joining us, who have their stories at the local level, to unmute your computer or unmute your phone so that we can hear your voices. Hey, how are you? Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry, we have some technical issues here. We are actually on the ground zero right now. And so my name is Dr. Danielle Wright. I am here as a parent, a community member, and also in support of the movement. And I'm going to introduce everyone to our side. These are some of our activists who've been on the ground doing all the work. And so we are really trying our best to get the message across what's really happening in real life time.
I'm so glad that you're here. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm Alan Robinson. I'm the executive director of the Satori Recovery Project and the director of operations for Pulse, Wisconsin's first drug users union. But I want to be clear that this movement was not branded in any way. This was a movement and organized by the people, for the people who were displaced, and specifically at the memorial this morning. So I'm going to pass it to my left to my comrade Jasmine Brown.
Brother Robinson, a pleasure to meet you. Hi, Jasmine. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm well. I'm Jasmine Brown. I am the founder of Feeding the Youth, and I'm also a housing case manager with the Housing First initiative here in Dane County.
I just have one question to get us kicked off, and then the rest I'm going to let Daryl and Barbara kind of lead our program here. Tell us what's going on the ground. The idea of Corey Ruiz's death has been shocking, and it has taken the nation by storm. And we are profoundly concerned and are in solidarity with everything that you, Brother Robinson, and Sister Wright, Dr. Wright, are doing on the ground. Tell us what's happening.
Well, you know what?
Give the excerpt.
Yeah, so I arrived on scene about 30 minutes after Corey was brutally murdered by the police. They alleged that he had been checking cars and they knocked him off his bike. They tackled him. About 4 officers tried to subdue him. One female officer stepped back about 4 to 5 feet, shouted, "Taser, taser, taser." And within 3 seconds, another officer, Kyle Peterson, stepped back and discharged his firearm 3 times into Corey Ruiz's face. This was an execution. We have tons of questions there. We've seen the knife. There was no blood on the knife. We've seen the officer. He didn't appear injured. We've heard from the mayor that she calls for transparency, and then in the dawn of the morning hours, she unleashes a militarized police force and the city parks division, the city streets division, to bulldoze an encampment of unhoused, marginalized people. So what we're standing for right now is justice, accountability, and really we're in support of what I said was the most vulnerable and marginalized members of our community. Corey was a person who used drugs. Corey was a person who was unhoused. Corey was a person who had many struggles in life and had been failed by the system long before he reached that intersection. The people in that encampment were members of his community, and frankly, they deserved better.
Dr. Wright, Corey was a human being. Dr. Wright?
Yep, I'm here.
Corey was a human being.
Absolutely.
And disrespected by local law enforcement, no equal protection under the law, and disrespected. Brother Jones, why don't you lead us through this process?
Yeah. And Dr. Wright, with regards to what happened with Corey Ruiz, the allegation, as we understand it, was that he was on a bicycle in the community, and they said that he touched perhaps a couple car handles. And then after touching the car handles, someone supposedly called the police, and the police arrive, and he goes riding off on his bicycle, goes down an alley, and the officer must call other vehicles. And there are 3 or 4 cars that then respond and knock him off of the bike and then proceed to execute him. So could you share, with the audience here, after this happens, because we're talking about an encampment, but before we get to the encampment, what happens after the execution of Corey Ruiz?
Yes, I can speak to this a little bit. So I have not been boots on the ground the whole time. These 2 members and many others have actually been protesting every single day. Our protest isn't just for what happened to Corey. What many may not understand and know that this has actually happened 2 years ago on the same street in Madison with another individual named Tony Robinson. So the community is really aching and hurting from all of this unnecessary distrust and harm that's happened. And so I would like to be super clear that this isn't an isolated situation. Madison is a very different place. And so our ultimate aims, of course, justice for Corey, but also we want to note that this is a bigger systemic issue that we are truly trying to dive into to figure out what we can do to actually bridge the mistrust and the gap between the Black community and the law enforcement. With this situation, what was even more disheartening was the fact that there's no body cameras. And so we really are trusting that the system itself will go through with the litigation to get the truth of what happened. But this is very, very disheartening. But I'm going to pass it to my left because they've been here almost every single day, I want to say,
Yes.
for hours, really advocating.
Yeah, and Jasmine, you've heard the description of the setup as we understand it to be introduced to the country as to what has happened. Following what happened and Corey Ruiz is being shot 3 times in the face, what then happens? And can you describe the community where this is happening? What does the community look like?
I mean, this is a very, they call it like a hippie neighborhood here in Madison. There's no commercial stores on the block. It's very local, everything's locally owned. There's a community center in the neighborhood called Social Justice Center where majority of our unhoused friends hang out during the day. So it's not uncommon to see, Corey and other people in that neighborhood. I'm somebody
Is it a
who
predominantly community?
Is it a lot? I'm sorry, what?
Is it a Black community?
There are a lot. There's a large Black population in that community, but it is not. I mean, there's no Black communities in Dane County either. I mean, it is a predominantly white state.
Okay.
I'm struggling.
I'll tell you.
Brother Robinson, I'm struggling to find out. Let me back up just for a moment. I'm struggling to find out what the crime was. What's the crime here?
The crime was being desperate and poor and Black in Madison, Wisconsin.
That's unacceptable.
In Madison, Wisconsin, the administration and the Madison Police Department have worked diligently to criminalize poverty, to continually displace unhoused people, and to basically systemically leave them behind. But that isn't unusual for the way that Madison treats its communities of color. I spoke earlier today about how the police here do not police problems; they police people and demographics. And I'll just a real quick anecdote. Last month, in June, we had the White Party, which was hosted by the Boys and Girls Club, which had a Black CEO. It's a huge fundraiser for children and a benefit that brings out a ton of Black people. What happened in that instance was there were police all up and down the block. Now, there was a bar that just recently had been issued 145 tickets for underage drinking. There were 147 people in the bar at that time. It's a classically white bar. There were generally no Black people. There's no police outside of that bar, right? So instead of policing problems, they police demographics. But there are 280,000 people in Madison. About 20,000 Black people in Madison. Yet, routinely, we make up 55% of the Dane County jail. So the math doesn't math unless, of course, you are over-policing and harassing a very specific segment of the community.
That is very, very helpful to understanding. Barbara Arnwine, I know you have some questions.
Yes, I want everyone to know that you're looking at 3 heroes and sheroes. Jasmine, thank you. I understand that this morning, after they bulldoze people, I want you to understand this is a homeless encampment. People, they relate to Corey because they are Corey, and they're homeless and they have suffering. So they are proud to be part of the memorial to him, and they are proud to be saying we want justice for him. But the mayor finds this quote disturbing. So she orders the bulldozing of this encampment. What did you find when you arrived there this morning?
I mean, things were in disarray. People were manic. People were scared. There was bulldozers, cops everywhere. I myself was only on the ground briefly, and then I headed straight to the jail to bail out 11 people.
11. So they arrested 11 people?
We actually, 21 in total were bailed out. Myself bailed out 11 people, and then we had a couple other organizations that helped us bail out the rest.
Wow. We actually need some assistance in that area right now because I literally just got the update that Williamson Street has been closed down by the police again, and they are arresting people as we speak. Literally right now. just before I got here, the police assaulted Aramika Glass, the independent police monitor.
No.
They gave her. She has a deep cut on her hand. It was a couple of officers who she is currently has open investigations against. So they knew her. She was down there, and she asked someone who was trying. She asked a cop who was trying to arrest somebody who was on the sidewalk for their badge number, and then a few cops then attacked her. Now, I'm sorry, you're hearing a lot of background noise right now
Okay, we
because we are
understand.
currently at the where we had everything replaced at another park just a few miles, about a mile away. They they displaced they tried to take the memorial. I wouldn't let them take that.
Displaced 54 homeless.
They displaced 54 homeless people this morning. They violently arrested. I will tell you that what started as a peaceful protest, what was never visited by our mayor, where there were people gathering to mourn and grieve, was replaced suddenly and abruptly by a very militarized and violent police force.
Brother Robinson, I got to take a break right here. But listen, when we come forward, I do want to hear what the elected officials, the congressmen, the senators, and others are saying or doing about this. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to On the Grind with Barbara Arnwine. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Unapologetically progressive. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We don't tell you what to think, just what to think about. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, Ahmad supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. Ahmad provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Classes in session every weekend, live on the air. So if you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're on the line with Barbara Arnwine, as we are on every Tuesday here at KBLA Talk 1580. We are fortunate enough today to have the co-chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition joining Barbara, Daryl Jones, Attorney Daryl Jones, one of the brightest minds in the legal space today. Daryl, welcome forward to the show as well. Daryl's muted. So glad that Daryl is here. Hi, Daryl.
There you go.
Listen, I know that our guests are still holding and are joining our program. Alan Robinson and Jasmine and the doctor is here. I'm so grateful that you guys are joining us, but I do want to ask this question. Have we heard, Barbara, from the elected officials, from the U.S. Attorney's Office, from the county prosecutors? Has anyone come down on the side of the homeless man who might have a mental case, and the fact that he got shot in his face 3 times? I mean, he is not alone. There's a community of outrage here.
And let's get them back, because they can answer that question better than I can. So I want everybody to understand that this is the result of governmental failure. And it's not one governmental failure. It's not just the police, the trigger happy police, as Marvin Gaye sang about.
Let me get Daniel Wright, Alan Robinson, and Jasmine back in play here as well. We don't want to leave them out of this conversation at all. Hey guys, Welcome forward to the show again, guys. You doing all right? So glad you're here.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're still here.
Just
Have you heard
want to
from
know,
U.S.
Jasmine
attorneys?
had to take off, but she sends her love and her thanks.
I appreciate it.
Well,
Have you heard
listen.
from the U.S. Attorney's Office? Have you heard from the politicians, the senators, the congressmen? Is anybody saying anything about the homeless man who was shot in the face 3 times?
I will tell you this. I was down there nearly every day that we had the encampment, and the mayor never once showed her face. The district attorney never came out to mourn and grieve with the people. The chief of police never came. The county sheriff never came. Nobody came out, right? I don't know whether it's because the last time the mayor came to a protest in the streets, people yelled at her. She recently made a statement saying that she stood with the people and the protesters for George Floyd. And then she made a video in secret and sent it to the police saying that she stood with them and their job was so hard. So the double speak and the rhetoric that came from her in the past week was what we would generally hear from a performative progressive who is really trying to find consensus with bigots, fascists, and those on the right.
Brother Robinson, before I turn the program over to Barbara Arnwine and to Brother Jones, has there been any repercussions or consequences for the police officers? Are they on desk duty? Are they being investigated? Have they been laid off? Tell us what the reaction has been internally with that.
This is a good question for Dr. Perry Wright. Have they even been identified yet? Because I know that there was a lot of hullabaloo at least 4 days ago about the fact that nobody even knew who their identities were, and what has the police department actually done with the people engaged in this death?
Yeah, the officer was clearly identified from the initial shooting. I believe all 4 are placed on leave. But as of right now, administrative leave. But as of right now, we do not have any other updates as far as the investigation.
So what typically has to happen in Wisconsin with an officer-involved shooting is the Department of Justice's Department of Criminal Investigations has to have 2 investigators investigate that case. Once their investigation is finalized, they turn it over to the county district attorney, who then determines whether or not a charging decision will be made. If a charging decision is not made, that is essentially the end, because the police, the fire and police union, through their collective bargaining agreement, can only be disciplined by the fire and police commission, by the police and fire commission. And that's 5 individuals that is appointed by the mayor, but they do the bidding of we've never found it. We can't fire anybody. Our last police chief called for the firing of Officer Matt Kinney, who was the officer who murdered Tony Robinson.
Yeah.
And Matt Kinney is still on the force today. He was actually in a training position for a while. So there is some likelihood that the officer who murdered Tony Robinson trained the officer who murdered Corey Ruiz.
Wow.
Brother Alan Robinson is the executive director of Satori House Recovery and Directory of Operation at Pulse, where he helps lead operational strategy, organizational development, public health programming, coalition engagement, and a cross-sector collaboration with healthcare organizations, advocacy groups, elected officials, and community stakeholders. Brother Robinson, how can we support Satori?
You can support Satori through a GoFundMe that we've established for supporting the folks over at the Corey Ruiz Memorial Fund. All of those donations will go directly to the folks that are negatively impacted by this removal and that are currently displaced. We aren't going to use any of those funds for operation. We're going to use those in conjunction with Jasmine, who has been on the ground, right along with me from day one. As I've written in Madison 365, a local cultural publication here, that this organization, this movement doesn't belong to an organization. It belongs to the people. And what we really go ahead.
Yes. What is the name of the fund? How do people make a contribution?
Sure. I just dropped the GoFundMe in the chat there to you.
Yes.
Let me see if I can pull it up on my.
I need you, brother Robinson, to say it because we're on the radio.
It's the Relief for Displaced Residents of Corey Ruiz Memorial. It's the Relief for Displaced Residents of Corey Ruiz Memorial.
Okay, fantastic. We want to support your organization. We want as many people to hear about this organization. Brother Jones, ever seen a case like this before?
So, unfortunately, we see too many of these cases that are in existence. One of the interesting things, and I've got to ask you this question, Brother Allen, is that, in Madison right now, the mayor there, Satya Rose Conway, the progressive, as you've called her, she's up for re-election. Is that correct?
She is up for re-election. Mayor Rhodes Conway came in on the death of a Black man, and if it's any work of ours, she will go out on the death of a Black man, because her response to this is absolutely deplorable. We were given no warning that these folks were going to have their belongings and possessions moved or bulldozed. We were given at 5 a.m. a pre-dawn raid with bulldozers, with a streets division that showed little regard for the lives of the people that were in the tents that they were attempting to bulldoze. This was one of the most egregious
I want to be certain we got
exercises.
that right, brother. I want to be certain we got that right. Bulldozers are knocking over tents, and the tents have people inside of them.
Yes.
And this
I
is
got a call.
That's inhumane.
I got a call at 5 a.m. From one of my comrades who was doing the night shift, and there was terror in their voice. I immediately jumped out of bed and ran and drove to the memorial.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Brother Robinson, give us a moment, please, for pausing for our station identification. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward. More with Brother Allen Robinson when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Been dealing with the lies of Crenshaw Destination. I live on this street. I remember the first day I came and there was no parking. And they said it'd be 6 months just to fix the wall. They started putting the big boulders down, and my life has changed ever since then. My kids haven't had graduation parties. They haven't had birthdays. My car's been in the shop multiple times. All my tires have been replaced multiple times, each one. I spent $1,000 on my front lawn for the 6 months. Keep replacing sprinkler. Now it's just dirt. It's frustrating because I'm not a politician, but I know politics, and I know the Smiley said the councilman, but I want to go above that. Karen, you want my vote? Make things happen. Talk is cheap. We can play these games. Period. Because you can't fix it, somebody will.
Not letting them get away with anything. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love, now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are on the ground with Barbara Arnwine. Barbara, welcome forward to the show. Welcome forward to the show, Barbara.
Yes, it's good to be here.
And I also want to welcome the co-chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition, Brother Daryl Jones. Daryl, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here and horrible under these circumstances, but glad to be lifting it up.
Yes.
And Danielle is with us, as well as Brother Alan Robinson are with us on the ground in Madison, Wisconsin. I can only think in this hour and in this moment, Barbara, that if my father were still with us, he would be right there with Brother Robinson, and he would be right there with Danielle, holding hands, organizing ministers, organizing the community to stop this grave injustice. And so I can tell you right now, Danielle and Brother Robinson, I'm missing my father in this moment, because I know he would be standing for the very justices that you guys are representing in that area and trying to bring as much light to a dark place as he possibly can. Brother Robinson, what else can we do here in the country.
You know,
and Los
aside
Angeles.
from, first off, I want to thank you for your kind words about your late father.
Yes.
Frankly, his leadership and your leadership are welcome in this moment. Dr. Wright and I have been able to collaborate productively in order to get things done, as Jasmine Brown has been on the ground doing the Lord's work. We're just really in need of support. Please support the GoFundMe. Please write to, I would tell you to write to our city administration, but frankly, they are they have gone deaf to our cries for help. So any support that you can muster for the GoFundMe, read my blogs over at Madison 365. If you just search for my name there, they'll come right up. I've written extensively about this whole situation and the lack of leadership, along with what it's like to be Black in Madison, Wisconsin. So check out those readings and follow me on my social media. This Alan Robinson, Facebook.com/this ALANROBINSON.
And also the GoFundMe pages. The GoFundMe is in our scroller. So please share the post, share on Facebook, share on all of our social media, and share from coast to coast around the country as you're listening to our show all over this country. I'm sorry, Danielle Wright, Dr. Wright?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I think one last thing that we absolutely need is just support legally. So we are advocating full force to make sure that it's a safe protest. And so unfortunately, a lot of our people are being agitated right now and getting thrown into jail. And so we really do need some legal support. A lot of the local attorneys, they all know each other. They all vouch for each other. And so unfortunately, we do need some legal support from someone coming from the outside in to really support the community as we try to navigate the legalities of this. We want systemic change. No more of this. We are ready for true change. And so that looks like going at the system. And so that's like the biggest ask.
I'm going to reach out to my brother Yusef, the CEO and president of the National Rainbow Coalition,
Exactly.
and to Jeanette Wilson, and see if we can get
Yes.
a couple of bus loads to come up there and be supportive of you guys in your efforts.
That's what
and try and raise a lot more awareness. And thank you for the invitation for
Thank
us
you
to
so
come
much.
in. Brother Jones, we are closing in on the closing in on the close of our show, and I'm going to do something very unusual. I'm going to give, if you don't mind, Barbara, Brother Jones, 2 minutes to close, and then I want a word of hope. If Alan Robinson would be willing to give it to us, I'd sure appreciate that. Brother Jones.
Thank you so much, Brother Jesse. You know, one of the things that I want people to be certain to understand from this and take away from what's happening in this Corey Ruiz moment is this: the decision by the police to use and escalate deadly force is something that stems from the mayor. The police chief is appointed by the mayor. And so every decision that then flows through the mayor. And so when we ask and talk about her standing for office, this underscores the importance of elections, being registered and being involved in the community. I cannot give high enough thanks to Brother Allen, as well as to Dr. Wright and Jasmine Brown for being involved in this moment. But we've got to be certain that we feel the pain of the community that's there, and we strike back using the voice and our vote in order to show our displeasure with how the community is being created in this moment. That is what I believe is needed. I encourage everyone to follow, to contribute on the GoFundMe page, but also get involved with Satori, get involved with what's happening and the actions that are happening in Madison, and spread the word about what's happening. Thank you so much, Brother Jesse.
Thank you, Brother Jones. Brother Robinson, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. Your final thoughts.
Sure, I want to say that hope has never lived in a tent. It has always lived in people. This morning, the city dismantled a place. They did not dismantle our love for one another, our commitment to justice, or our resolve for care for those who need it most. We've endured loss before, we've endured disappointment before, and every time this community has answered with compassion instead of cruelty, solidarity instead of surrender. Take care of one another today. Check on your neighbors. Share what you have. If you can help, help. If you need help, ask for it. This is not the end of our story. Community is stronger than displacement, and love is stronger than fear.
So grateful to have you as our very special guest, Brother Robinson, and obviously Brother Jones. Barbara, about 45 seconds left. This is important work that you'll be undertaking on behalf of the Transformative Justice Coalition, identifying with our brothers and sisters in Madison, Wisconsin. Barbara?
And we're going to stay with them too. We're not going to drop this. People today, if you are in Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, Virginia, Washington, this is your primary voting day. This is the 61st anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. Will occur on Thursday, August the 6th. There will also be elections in Tennessee that day. Folks, turn out and demand government do better than what we're hearing in Madison. This is very disturbing. There's no way on earth Daryl and I are going to be quiet. There's no way on earth TJC is going to be quiet. And we look forward to working and joining with RPC and lifting this issue up to the entire civil rights community.
Thank you, Barbara. Brothers and sisters, do everything you can to support Brother Alan Robinson, the organization. The website is on our Facebook page. It is scrolling and will continue to scroll as long as we're live on social media. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, Danielle Wright. Appreciate you. And thank you, Brother Jones, and love you, Barbara Arnwine. Until next time, see you guys on Wealthy Wednesday.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.